Hello, I hope you're doing well. It's very interesting today to see that scientists are finally in their search for the emergence of COVID-19 have determined that no, it probably it did not start in a lab. And in fact, now France has come up and said that earlier than the China time and in December, it appears that there were cases in France. Well, I'm sure that President Trump is none too happy about that, as the Republicans have been feeding this line of how that somehow this is some plot from the Chinese and they had developed it in a lab and got the Americans infected and blah blah blah, on and on. Uh, when none of that appears to actually, if this story from France holds true, then none of that will have any basis, any bearing upon how and where this virus started. I mean, I think it's just hilarious how that they push and look for. They have, all the different ones. I think it's Pompeo is going on and on the most about, how terrible and must be in China and all these kind of things. And the Chinese are going to pay for what this terrible thing was that they did. When no, it kind of appears that it wasn't that. In fact, the France study I noted, and they didn't make much of it, but I assume that's where eventually there will be a link. Is that the French, in looking for information around the sourcing of COVID-19, looked at a man who was going over to China, to I think Wuhan, on a regular basis. And so they were postulating that, well, maybe he could have brought it over from China into France and all this kind of thing. But you see, the point is what now appears possibly to be true, is that in fact the person from France going to Wuhan took it from France to Wuhan from where it started out there. So quite the story, and a real interesting tale of however this thing started, which really doesn't matter to me. I don't think there's anything terribly nefarious about it. Hey, yeah, maybe somebody was testing it and got out. Okay, fine. If it happened, it happened. And they'll have to deal with their different things. Just another point then now, of course, is that they have upped the estimate from the 60,000, 70,000, whichever it was, now up to 138. Huge increase. But one that also takes into account the fact that people, instead of going ahead and doing what is necessary in order to keep it from having such a drastic spread, can't take it anymore. The old term cabin fever comes to mind, about how that you just, you're so long cooped up that you just have to explode with some kind of a tenant somewhere else. So even in that aspect, it's as though, oh, okay, can't stand it anymore, going to open up my whole state. And so that makes people a little bit more happy with the governor at that time. But what happens when that state has so many cases of COVID-19 and the subsequent deaths? then isn't that governor going to look horrid? That he permitted his people to go out and essentially kill other people by infecting them? I mean, just the thoughts from it, the argument that comes out of it, it's just astonishing. And the ramifications are just unbelievable. So I'll pretty much leave you there. But I do hope that you are keeping well, keeping safe, and you take care.